A lot of investors tell me that they want to start doing deals fully virtually. And what usually happens is they pick a market, whole list, turn on the marketing, and then hope that they can figure everything else out once the leads start coming in. And sure, you can do that if you want to waste money. So today, I'm going to walk you through exactly how we launch new markets fully virtual and the things that we put in place before we spend a single dollar on marketing.
If you're new here, I'm Tiffany. Hi. I'm the co-founder of Heels Homes and Results Driven REI alongside my wonderful husband and business partner, Josh High. And after experiencing well over 2,000 real estate transactions and coaching over 5,000 students nationwide,
I'm pretty sure I can confidently say that I've made every mistake there is to make. And now we help investors just like you avoid them so that you can live in what I like to call option freedom. The ability to do what you want, when you want, with whoever the hell you want. So let's dive in. Let's address two different people right now. One is the investor who already fully operates virtually in their wholesaling and flipping business. Let's just say realtors as well, who are used to going to these in-person appointments. They tend to have a self-limiting belief. Like, how can I possibly do deals in a market where I can't go to the house? Okay, so I want to overcome those beliefs first, and then just show you step by step how I build that local infrastructure to give you the confidence that you can do this virtually.
we have to start with infrastructure or the leads get wasted. So we want to go and build a local small team. And I'm going to break that down for you today on how do we actually build that small team so that you have the confidence to now press go and launch it virtually. Let's assume we've already picked a market. Doing a market analysis of where you're going to launch is a whole nother video. I'll put that out there for you as well. Once the market is chosen, we now have to go build the relationships before we press go on spending money. So here are some of the first things I want you to do. I want you to go in and join every local Facebook investor group. So for example, I'm in Columbus, Ohio, so I might be able to say Columbus, Ohio off-market real estate, and then press enter. On Facebook, you can say, take me to the groups. Once you at least find a couple of those groups that are free, they're public, you might even say, hey guys, I'm new to this market. I flip, I wholesale, I buy rentals. Are there any other Facebook groups that I should be joining so that I can grow my network? In these groups, the beauty about them is you can now go ask for resources. You can look for repeated names, trusted vendors. I'm sure buyers are putting their email, their contact information, and now we can start building a small team. So let me come back to the Facebook groups here in a minute so I can tell you what team we're gonna go build. But I always start with a virtual market by Googling a property management company. You can both Google it and say top rated property management companies for houses in this city and state. You can also then go to those Facebook groups and say, what are the top property management companies that I should be considering for my rental portfolio in this local market? And trust me when I tell you, investors have their opinions on property management companies. You'll probably see that post blow up and everyone will have something to say about every property management company. After we Google them and we get everyone making comments in Facebook, we're gonna call every one of those property managers and interview them. We wanna check their ratings on Google. We wanna hear the reviews in the Facebook groups. And we really want to do our due diligence because the last thing you want to do is launch a market, trust some general contractor with a company, and then see a bunch of bad reviews. When I launched Toledo, this is what I did. And I called every one of those property management companies to verify how many doors do you manage, right? Are you open to taking my retail leads that I get because I am a wholesaler flipper, I hold rentals, and I'm looking for a one-stop shop team to work with since I'm out of your market. And I will say most property managers of that size, they're used to working with out-of-state investors typically. And so we want to ask them lots of questions around their contracting side if you are a flipper, which I recommend that if you're going to spend money on leads, you have multiple exit strategies. You never just want to only wholesale or only be an agent or only be a flipper. If you're going to spend money on a lead, we need to monetize that lead to do whatever it takes when that seller says, I want to sell. If I lock up a contract virtually, does your project manager, do you have an inspector who internally goes and builds that project scope of work? By the way, and I'll put this in the description, we have a national contract, our results-driven community, with a company called Guardian. They are a national license inspection company, and both in any market that we are in, we get a license inspection report on every house, even if we're gonna wholesale it. And then we include that in our dispo package. And then we also use it when we're gonna rehab. If you're going to launch a virtual market, it is even more than recommended, because now we wanna make sure that we build a solid credibility packet for buyers in the market. And when they see you pump out deals with license inspection report, you'll build more trust and credibility than any other wholesaler in town. You wanna be a professional, you don't wanna be an amateur. So professionals, they get license inspection reports. Now, what we do is we send the license inspector from Guardian. And again, I'll put that in the description so that you get the pricing our community does. We would get a license report from Guardian, and then we would get a scope of work from that general contractor. And as I'm having this conversation with these property management companies, I'm explaining my process to them. And actually, when they hear we do license inspection reports for even our wholesales, they know we're a legitimate operator. And they typically appreciate that. Because what happens is I can now take that license inspection report, send it to the GC, which, by the way, when the GC, the general contractor, and the license inspector are walking a house at the same time, it allows them to have deeper conversation about what's going on with the house. The benefit of this is that now I can take the scope of work fully virtual, right? Again, even in Columbus, in my backyard. We don't go out to property. We take this license inspection report and we take the project manager scope of work, we compare them, and now we can have better communication and questions with that GC. So we're explaining this to every property manager on the phone on how we operate, which gives them the confidence that, hey, this is gonna be a great relationship, even though you're virtual, because we take every step of the puzzle and take it very serious. So the piece of this that we wanna make sure we understand from every property manager we interview is, again, do you have crews? Do you have your general contracting license? Do you have a realtor that wants our retail leads? Do you have someone that can be a runner? Like if you need photos or whatever. And by the way, that part's not as important, but you still want to ask the question. If you are looking for a runner, for example, you need a lockbox or just some photos or draw photos for hard money or something like that, we have a national agreement with a company called Investor Boots. Investor Boots is like, how do I explain this? Uber for services. So what does that mean? Like if you need a mobile notary, if you need lawn care, if you need lockbox, you need a wellness check, photos taken, anything like that, Investor Boots, you can set up a free account. And then when you need something in the next 24 hours, you can go in, click the service that you want and say, I need this. And then that app pairs them with a local person that can go do that job for you. Now we've collected all these property managers, we've Googled them, we've asked for feedback in Facebook groups, and then once you get your interviews done and you figure out the pros and cons to each, I even recommend going back to the Facebook groups and say, hey guys, I've narrowed down my search for my rental portfolio. I'm deciding between these top 2 property management companies, and then allow the crowd again to give you their opinion, because I promise you, every investor in town tends to have an opinion about all the property management companies. One other thing you can also ask the property manager and ask in your Facebook groups is, who's the most investor-friendly title company? Now, I can give you resources for national title companies that are very investor-friendly. I'm just a big believer that you're gonna get more done and people are more apt to fight to close your deals when it's supporting a local title company. So I would leverage the Facebook group for that, and also in your interviews for property managers, because some of them might be like, look, we only want to close with XYZ if you can, because they have a really good relationship. And then I would then move to the process of interviewing a title company. And I'm not going to get into that interview today, but ultimately you're going to want to make sure you get your hands on the top couple investor-friendly title companies. Now, as we all know, every lead that you get in that market, you're not going to want to necessarily flip. You might not even want to hold it. You might want to wholesale it. So as we enter that market, I highly recommend that you start building your buyers list and learn who is buying before you even need them. There's a lot of manual ways to do this. I'll make another video for that another day. We use a company called Investor Base. It already has all the most latest buyers on there, as well as typically if you have a big property management company, they know everyone in town if they're that big. All right, so let's recap this. We've decided what market we're gonna launch. We then leveraged and added ourselves to the Facebook groups. We've introduced ourselves, told them what we're doing, asked for property management companies, title companies, interview all of the property management companies, press go on one once you've thoroughly interviewed them like we've talked about. We are going to make sure that we get our hands on a licensed inspector. And then from there, we wanna make sure we talk to the title companies. And now we have built this local team that can take our retail leads, they can rehab our houses, we can have them manage our rentals if you're looking looking to buy rentals. They can connect you with buyers. They can do your scope of works. They can be boots on the ground. They can be a whole support system so that you don't physically have to be there. Now, the only thing left after this, maybe those of you out there listening that might have this self-limiting belief of like, I still don't believe how you lock up a deal. I will make sure that I make you a video to break this self-limiting belief that you have to be in person to build rapport. So if you're serious about growing your business and expanding into new markets, join us for our free training so that you can get past concepts and help you implement, actually execute these things live. I'll put the link in the description below. See you there.